I guess we are finally doing this. We are now recording. Anong pumasok sa isip natin? Ginawa natin to.
Nagtanong ka. Nagtanong ka eh.
Hindi, na-inspire kasi tayo din. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yan kapag medyo napag-usapan na natin yung lahat ng mga movies dun sa episode natin. Welcome, one and all, to the Cine Geeks Podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. I'm Roy.
I'm Angela.
And don't adjust your screens. Yes, kami lang to. Joke lang.
Face reveal.
Face reveal,
Yay.
finally. And
parang gender reveal lang.
Okay. New Year. First new content episode of the new year.
New movies. Covering new movies.
Okay.
Kasi yung episode natin ngayon taon, yung una, was about MMFF. But that came out last year pa. December 25.
Tama.
So, hindi siya counted as parang our first episode talaga. These are the, meron tayong pag-uusapan na December lumabas eh.
True. Oo. Pero technically, yung first two episodes, tama ka dun eh. Yung first two episodes natin, best of the worst of 2024. If you haven't seen that or heard it pala, wala pa lang seen. Heard pa lang siya. It's on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. Tapos, meron tayo nung ating naging MMFF 2024 super review. So, also, dun sa mga nilista ko kaninang mga podcast platforms.
Audio
pa lang. Pero ngayon, sige, pasadahan natin ng sobrang bilis lang. Anong nakain natin? At bigla tayo nag-decide na, kasi yun na nga eh, tama kayo. Nagtanong tayo sa ating mga fellow Cine Geeks doon sa Cine Geeks PH HQ.
Yes.
Tinanong natin, anong gusto nyong maging format ng podcast moving forward? Siyempre, nagtanong tayo kung may mga gusto pa rin na audio. Yan. Tapos kung may gusto mag-video.
Anong turnout nung vote na yon?
And by a staggering margin, okay,
can we call it a landslide?
I guess we can. 96% voted for video. So, you really must want to see us so bad. Para ma-oklay tayo. Joke.
Hindi, kasi nagbago na din kasi talaga yung definition ng podcast.
I guess.
Di ba, whenever we tell people that we have a podcast, ang isasagot ka agad nila, talaga, saan namin mapapanood yan? So parang ako, as a millennial, and yung sinaunang concept ng podcast was really just a radio show, an internet radio show.
Yes.
Diba? Yun talaga yung definition ng podcast nung aming panahon. Nung unang panahon.
Kasi, I mean, I'm pretty sure there are more than two of us who know this. Pero just in case hindi alam ng mga iba, podcasting, the term podcast, comes from portmanteau siya actually. So, pag portmanteau, pinagtagping mga salita.
History lesson.
Podcast is iPod broadcast. Yon. So, si Apple talaga ang nagpasikat nitong concept ng podcast.
Shout Apple, baka naman.
Okay. Wow, kakakabidyo pala natin. May baka naman tayo agad. So, yun. So, tama kayo na we were part of the parang generation na talagang podcasting was audio. And if there were video shows of these podcasts, hindi siya podcast pa rin. Web show na yung tawag sa kanya.
Web talk show, gano'n.
Web talk show or webisode of this podcast.
Or kung meron kang iPod video, siguro. It's about really, the attention span.
I guess.
Kasi, yun nga, parang people nowadays are so used to audiovisual content. So, parang audio doesn't cut it
nag-iba na
anymore.
Talaga nag-iba na yung definition ng media.
Yeah.
For good.
So, yun ang ating, yun ba yung reason?
Yun yung
haba,
yun yung intro na. So, the reason natin is, it was time. I guess.
Yeah.
Kasi parang nag-start tayo June 2023. So we're almost coming up to 2 years of the podcast. And what better way to start or to approach the second year of the podcast by going video.
And also, I think yun naman talaga yung vision natin moving forward originally to transition into video. Pero nag-iipon lang tayo ng lakas ng loob.
Anong nakain natin ngayon? Ahon ko, talaga. I mean, sure. Sige, but if they want to get in touch with us, where can they find us?
We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X. We are also on Letterboxd and Threads. Ano pa ba? Ang dami na kasi.
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. Yun. If you are on Blue Sky, you can follow us there. We also have our website, www.cinegeekspod.com. There we post movie news and TV news and our written reviews.
Yes. Yeah. Also, our group on Facebook, Cinegeeks PH HQ.
Kung saan nanggaling tong idea na to.
Lalagay ko dyan sa ilalim dito yung exact wording niya, so you can find it on Facebook. And then just join group, no?
Join group.
Click join group and answer the intro questions. We'll accept your request for joining the group. Let's talk about the first film that we will be discussing in this episode, Mufasa: The Lion King. Mufasa: The Lion King actually came out last year nung bago mag-MMFF.
First week or second week?
Parang double check natin yung kalendaryo.
Kasi we saw it December 14.
Parang December 18. Wednesday naman lumalabas eh. So, December 18. Yun. Okay. So, Mufasa, The Lion King, is the prequel to the, ayoko sabihin live action, Lion King.
Live action
Kumusta talaga mga Leon. It's the prequel to the photorealistically animated version of The Lion King. Yan, that came out in 2019.
Parang those are too many words for the same thing.
So, somewhat, live action-ish.
Okay.
Yan. So, sa IMDb, the summary is as follows. Mufasa, a cub lost and alone, meets a sympathetic lion named Taka, the heir to a royal bloodline. The chance meeting sets in motion an expansive journey of a group of misfits searching for their destiny. What did you think, real quick, of Mufasa?
I think yun talaga yung parang burden ng isang prequel. You already know where the story is going. So parang there's no surprise anymore in terms of yung narrative niya, yung story. Kasi alam mo na parang wala namang real threat sa life ni Mufasa dito habang bata siya, kahit na ang daming close calls. Because you know when he will die.
Yes.
So parang para sa akin, yung stakes is a lot lower.
Very, very low.
'Di ba? Parang hindi ako naging invested kasi alam ko na hindi mapapahamak si Mufasa dito kasi tatanda pa siya.
Yes.
So parang yun yung parang general burden talaga ng mga prequels is that you already know where the story is going. So there's no surprises anymore unless they present a substantial surprise dun sa story or kung meron silang parang isa-subvert na expectations natin. Pero it was exactly what I expected. I don't think that's I'm not sure if that is a good thing, pero yun nga, it's exactly what I expected.
True. Ano siya ano mo yung it's the cinematic equivalent of meh. Yun. I'm not saying na there isn't any craft behind this work kasi as always the photorealism of the animals is fantastic. If I may nga parang mas maganda pa siya kaysa dun sa unang Lion King Technically it improved.
Yes, wala masabi.
And talagang magiging sobra siyang parang mapapaisip ka na ano ba to? This is absolutely necessary. If not for ang nakasalba sa kanya para sa akin yung mga kanta ni Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yon. Kahit alam mo yung kahit alam mo na parang Lin-Manuel is just trying to riff on what he's already written in the past.
Very that.
Hindi siya kasing fresh pakinggan ng Encanto.
Tama ka, kasi ang dami kong naririnig na parang hints or references to the songs that he wrote for Hamilton.
You know,
the songs he wrote for Moana 1.
Yun.
Parang medyo hawig na
True.
So parang humuhugot na lang siya dun sa past discography niya ng mga Pero yun nga, yeah, the music was good because it's Lin-Manuel. Of course, you can trust Lin-Manuel to come up or to produce good soundtrack and good original songs. Pero, wala rin masyadong tumatak sa akin na song.
May isa na tumatak sa akin and not for the reason na parang ay wow, it's a Lin-Manuel song na parang ang ganda. More siya yung duet ni Mufasa at saka ni Sarabi, yung Tell Me It's You. Katunog siya. Katunog siya nung kanta ni Hamilton at saka ni Eliza. Parang siyang ganon, yung ganong parang lyrically syncopated yung sagutan.
Hindi ba parang Helpless?
Hindi, kasi yung Helpless kasi para siyang parang si babae lang yun si Eliza lang yun tsaka yung mga kapatid niya, tama ba? Pero may kanta si Alexander tsaka si Eliza
I don't remember
na parang
the title.
Parang yung nung nalaman ata ni Eliza na may kabit siya or something, parang ganon. I'll look for it right now mamaya. Pero yun yung ganun yung feel niya.
Ma-fact check na naman tayo dyan.
Yun na nga. Hindi kami expert
make sure
disclaimer. Hindi po kami expert. Kung magkakamali kami, kakamali kami. Okay? Pwede nyo i-point out kung saan kami nagkamali, pero hindi kami nag-i-intentionally mag-mislead ng tao. Okay? Okay. So yun, na parang it's it feels it's funny kasi parang it's Lin-Manuel also writing these songs, pero it feels derivative of his previous work, if that's possible.
Yeah. Pero I think naman the kids will appreciate this. Pang kids talaga siya. It's not really for the original Lion King fans like us na yung mga pinanood to nung 90s.
Pero kasi parang, ano pa ba yung kwento mahuhugot mo dito?
Yun na nga
At si Mufasa pa. Talaga. Di ba? Parang,
alam na natin yung mangyayari sa kanya.
At saka hindi naman siya ganun kalaki yung part niya. I mean, sige, fine. Okay, fine. Sige, fine. Ang nababother lang ako isa pa dito, parang it's a Barry Jenkins movie. Where's the Barry Jenkins in it? Kasi nga, immediately after the film came out, parang nagkaroon ng article ba na sinabi ni Barry Jenkins na miss daw niya gumawa ng live na scene.
Di bakit hindi na lang live talaga? Hindi yung photorealistic, ano yun?
Photorealistically animated.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think even a director as great as Barry Jenkins can direct a real lion. Okay.
Anyway.
Ay, nako. Anyway, I mean yun. Sige. Pros of this movie, fantastic animation. Serviceable Lin-Manuel Miranda songs. Kaso nga lang, sobrang meh yung kwento. And ma-point out ko din pa, nasayang si Mads Mikkelsen.
Pero na-surprise ako ang galing niya kumanta.
Kumakanta pala siya.
Oo. Fairness sa kanya.
Mufasa. I guess we can give this a grade of B+. Kasi it's not a bad film by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just there.
Yeah.
Yun.
It was not as groundbreaking as the first one,
I guess. Okay, so moving on to our next episode. Our next episode our next movie. First episode na video. Let's move on to our next movie in this episode. Wolfman 2025. Wolfman 2025 is also being remake.
Remake siya, di ba?
Well, paano bang pwedeng dito? Reboot of the Wolfman noong 1941. Kasi ano ba difference ng reboot sa remake? Spelling, joke lang. Ang tawag dito, okay, trivia. The film, I'm reading off of Wikipedia. The film was announced in 2014 and was to be a part of the Dark Universe. So yung infamous na shared universe na may picture pa sila kahit wala pa silang ginagawang sine. Alam mo ba yan?
Pagkatapos ng kick-off ng MCU, lahat gusto na magkaroon ng cinematic universe.
Di ba yun, alam mo yun? Yung si Russell Crowe, si Tom Cruise, si Sofia Boutella,
si yung Depp, the mommy na ni Tom Cruise.
That's may picture sila na parang, tawag dito, sige, ilalagay ko yung picture dito Sa baba, para makakita nyo kung ano yung sinasabi ko. Pero papakita ko kay Ange yung andito. Yung...
nag-pictorial pa sila. Sayang naman.
Victoria ba? Diba? Sayang. Walang pinuntahan.
Oo.
Diba? So, yon. So, dapat part siya nung universe na to, yung Dark Universe. And after nag-spectacularly fail, yung The Mummy ni Tom Cruise, bigla siyang nag-shift na dapat etong bagong Wolfman, si Ryan Gosling dapat ang bida.
And siya yung nag-pitch, di ba?
Oo, yun. So, siya yung nag-pitch. Ang dapat director neto, yung director niya sa The Place Beyond the Pines. So, yung scene ni Ryan Gosling na very, very famous for kung saan sila nagkita ni Eva Mendes.
Ito ang kanilang Green Lantern.
Oo. So, yun yung Green Lantern nilang dalawa. So, ang director na was Derek Cian France. Yan. However, quoting still Wikipedia, Cian France left the project in 2023 and Gosling dropped out of the role, remaining as executive producer, all while Lee Whannell took over as director with a new cast. So, nabanggit natin pangalan, Lee Whannell.
Writer and director.
Yes, right. Written by and directed by Lee Whannell ito. Not a stranger to horror fans.
And Blumhouse.
And, oo naman. Pero...
He's actually parang one of the pillars of Blumhouse, if I do say so myself.
True.
He wrote Saw 1, 2, and 3.
And he wrote Insidious 1, 2, and 3, and directed 3. And yung panghuling yung pang-apat na Insidious, yung Last Key. Tapos siya din yung story credit dun sa pang-limang Insidious, yung Red Door.
Anong difference ng story credit and ng writer?
Parang, naalala mo yun, sige, tangent lang tayo. Alam mo yung sa Rogue One dati? Ang story credit doon, story by, si John Knoll. K-N-O-L. Pero, hindi siya talaga writer. Special effects, visual effects, supervisor siya. So, siya yung nakaisip nung germ nung idea. Hindi siya writer, pero siya yung kinredit as story by. If I remember it correctly. Again, hindi ako expert. Okay? Yon. So, yun yung ko doon na parang, ganun yung sa fifth, sa Red Door. So siya yung may idea ng kwento, iba yung nagsulat.
Okay.
Yon.
Okay.
Pero yun na nga. Grabing, kahit sa Saw 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, executive producer pa rin si Lee Whannell.
Sa 11 kaya?
I'm pretty sure. Kasi, I mean, baby din niya yun eh. Diba? Siya nga yung nasa simula nung diba? Siya yung sa unang Saw. Siya yung
main character.
Si Adam. Siya. Yan.
Okay, so that's who's at the helm of Wolfman.
Yes.
Okay.
Talagang a true blue horror master. Kumbaga.
And as you know, lalo na sa mga Cinegeeks na regular listeners natin, you are the horror student. Anong masasabi mo sa Wolfman?
Ito yung mga tipo ng horror na na-appreciate ko eh. Yung horror na merong puso.
Wow.
Oo.
Parang pageant answer lang Horror with a heart.
Yung horror with a heart. Parang kandidato lang yun.
Oo.
Yung words ba? Actually, lahat ng mga kandidato sa Pilipinas, yun dapat slogan nila. Boto nyo si Toot Horror with a Heart.
Okay.
Anyway, kaya ako sabi na appreciate ko yung Horror with a Heart dito kasi it's been revealed naman sa trailers na this is a story about a father who brings his family to yung kung saan siya lumaki. Okay? Now, hindi ko alam kung napakita ba sa trailer na merong past siya doon sa lugar na yun na merong nababalitang mga naapektuhan ng sickness na according to the natives, ang tawag nila doon is, hindi nakalimutan ko yung parang Native American name pero ang tawag nila doon is the face of a wolf. Yan.
Okay.
So, this story basically is that father trying to protect his family from yung danger na yun.
Yeah.
The horrors in the place na kung saan nila kailangan pumunta.
It's very simple.
Go.
No? Very, very simple lang yung kanyang premise.
It actually all happens, well, I mean, except for yung expository parts, everything happens in one night. Yan. It's just a one night, parang 2-act play siya, kumbaga. Yan. And I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Kasi ayoko yung horror na nagre-rely dun sa yung gano'n, yung gugulating
yung
ka. Full jump scare. Sa akin kasi, horror is not about parang jolting the audience with cheap jump scares. It's about parang shaking them awake to fears that they may not know they had.
Okay.
Via these visual metaphors employed in horror cinema. Kumbaga. So, kaya, example of another fantastic horror film. Ako, I will consider it a horror film. Most people do. Pero I know na when we first talked about it, hindi ka masyadong convinced na horror siya. Which is The Substance. Yon.
Horror kaya siya?
Oo, pero hindi siya kasi parang yung, sinabi mo ako dati na parang hindi siya yung horror talaga.
Hindi, ang sabi ko lang, it falls under a different kind of parang subgenre ng horror, which is body horror. So, I never said na it's not horror.
Sige, I stand corrected. Gusto niyo pakinggan yun kung nagkamali ako. Ay, hindi pala, standalone episode pala yun. Oo nga pala.
Yeah.
Anyway, yung gano'n, na parang siyang...
It is horror. Psychological body horror, actually.
Yun, gano'n siya. Yun yung mga horror na na-appreciate ko. Hindi yung tipong parang, kumbaga parang long legs. Nagustuhan ko siya.
Supernatural horror naman
pero, yun para siyang... Hindi, nagustuhan ko pala yun. Ano ba, hindi ko nagustuhan na horror. Basta yung gano'n. Oo, basta ganun. Sige, wala akong maisip at the top of my head. Sorry. Wala akong maisip at the top of my head. Pero yung ganun na parang, I want to be scared about something na parang I can picture myself seeing every day.
So parang kilabot, ganun. Di ba hindi mo masyado nabetan yung Midsommar?
Alam mo, actually, the more I think about it, the more nagsistick siya sa akin, na parang, it's a stone cold horror masterpiece.
Yes.
Yung Midsommar talaga.
It is.
Kasi parang siyang, wala nga siya jump scare masyado eh. Wala nga actually.
Pero yung sinasabi mo na it can happen every day, yun, yung concept of cults.
Yun.
Parang presenting itself as parang culture.
And,
yun yung
At saka yung tipong parang preying on the vulnerable individuals. Yung naghahanap ng direksyon. Yung ganun
yung mga lost souls. Yung hiniherald and sineshepherd nila to their, to their group.
True. Dito naman, sa Wolfman, yun na nga, it's about the horror of a father. Na yung the horrors of what a father thinks about parang in terms of protecting his children, his child, his spouse, his family, yung ganon. Na ayoko mag-spoil kasi maganda tayo. This is best experience
reveal
fresh.
niya.
Pero masasabi ko na lang dito na parang ang napaka-apt na metaphor nitong scene na to for generational trauma, na how you can take the wounds that were inflicted upon you
in childhood,
and you can make a choice to not follow in the footsteps of those who wronged you. Kumbaga,
it ends with us.
Oh my God. Huwag natin simulan yun doon.
Okay.
Nakalimutan natin ng tao yung scene eh. Yung mas behind the scenes yung alam nila. Pero anyway, ikaw, what did you think about Wolfman? Anything to add to what I said?
Yeah, it's the emotional kind of horror. So, parang mas real yung stakes niya for me. It's very personal. Napaka-understated lang nung horror niya. It's not too much. It's not in your face. Pero it's more parang interpersonal. And it also has a little body horror there na sobrang gnarly, which I liked.
True.
So, yeah. Kung medyo mas malalim siya eh. And mas, yun nga, you tackled a little bit about yung metaphor niya. Pero, yun nga, it's not the typical popcorn horror.
It's not.
So,
hindi siya yung tipong parang, kumbaga hindi siya parang Strange Frequencies, Taiwan Killer Hospital. Hindi siya ganon.
Hindi siya gulatan.
Both
hindi siya
good.
thrilling kind of horror.
Hindi siya ganon. This is more emotional, cerebral. Yan.
Sabi ko nga sa'yo di ba? Para siyang Outside.
True. Oo, tama. I agree with you there. Okay. So, for this, I guess, I'll give it, ako personally, I'll give it an A-.
Okay.
Ikaw?
Yeah, same.
Same na? A- din? No. It's, just keep your expectations in check. Know what you're getting into dito. This is not yung barkada horror. Hindi siya parang Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Okay? And you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
I know I did. Okay. Sige. And at that, let's move on to the next movie para sa ating episode ngayon. Which is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Okay. So, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Of course, sequel ng Sonic the Hedgehog 1
and 2.
And 2.
Okay.
Parang napaka mind-blowing na fact na.
Yun na ba yung yun na yung logline mo?
Yun yung logline ko dahil. Hindi.
Okay.
Siya? Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is about Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles facing off against Shadow. So, finally, the iconic anti-hero of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise is upon us. Okay? Kasi ayoko nang tawagin anti-hero si Knuckles eh. Kasi eventually naman talaga magiging
part na siya ng Team Sonic eh.
Kahit dun sa video game pa lang din eh. Oo. Pero kasi ito kasi si
playable
Shadow.
Character naman talaga si Knuckles, di ba?
Oo. I mean, lahat naman sila. Pero sabihin ko kasi, si Shadow kasi, mas more siyang parang, kumbaga parang Vegeta.
It's funny you mentioned Dragon Ball.
Ang ganda. Yun. Sige. So, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 also features returning cast. Siyempre, si Ben Schwartz, Jim Carrey, si Idris Elba, tsaka yung si Tails, si Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Featuring, of course, Keanu Reeves as
James
Shadow.
Marsden also.
James Marsden, si Tom Wachowski. What did you think of Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
Actually, Sonic...
So, masabi ko lang magandang family, parang puro family yung napag-uusapan natin ngayon.
Because it's all about family.
Same pa na ba? Hindi, ibang studio pala.
Oo, pero anyway. What I thought about Sonic holds a special place in my heart kasi. Kasi, actually, yung precursor nitong Cinegeeks podcast, before, 5 years before natin naisip. 5 years ba?
5 years ago. 2020.
5 years ago. Ang una talagang parang movie platform namin, or maybe ako, was yung Vera Vlogs. And one of the movies that I reviewed there, parang lang siya solo review lang na YouTube style. Ganon.
Ililink ko dito yung video na yon para makita nyo. Hindi, maganda makita nila yung yung evolution natin. Evolution mo din as a movie reviewer.
Yeah, true. Okay. Pero you might not recognize me there.
Okay.
Pero ayun nga, isa sa mga una kong ni-review doon was Sonic.
Yes.
So, at the time, Sonic was the best video game movie ever made. Kasi wala pa nun nung Super Mario.
Wala pa.
Wala pa nung, ano pa ba yung mga sumunod na magaganda?
Parang sila pa nga tayo maganda. Yung dalawang Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ayun. Basta, parang finally, a video game movie done right. Yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-special things about Sonic eh.
Yes.
And this third sequel na ba? Second sequel.
Third installment.
Yan. Third installment, parang it just follows naman the successes of the first two.
Yes.
It maintains the fun and the charm of the first two films. Tapos, it stayed true to the material. Parang as a fan of the video games pa ng Sega, I don't feel na parang kino-opt na nung movie IP yung video game. Marami pa rin siyang references. Hindi niya pa rin nakakalimutan na video game siya.
Yes.
And parang yun yung natutuwa ako kasi Sonic franchise or the Sonic film IP does not forget its roots. Yon. So, happy ako na makita kahit yung mga sobrang obscure na mga deep cut na mga characters na and yung mga references din and syempre yung mga characters. Of course, The acting was very, very good. Ayun. So, ayokong ubusin yung sasabihin. Ikaw naman.
Hindi, sige lang ako lang. Ano kasi, it's a case of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Diba? Yung comedy ni Ben Schwartz still works like a charm.
Yes.
Talagang, kung kilala niyo pa lang siya dun sa Parks and Rec. Alam
As
niyo na
John Ralphio.
As John Ralphio.
Saperstein.
Yun. Na alam mong kaya niya talagang magpatawa. Na talagang bring the house down, kumbaga.
Yes, yes.
Jim Carrey, of course. What else? We can say a lot of things, pero mauubusan tayo ng oras.
Yes.
Sa kakasabi na kung bakit legendary na siya. And yung other things, like ito, yung kay Idris Elba, na ito yung pinaka nakakatuwa niyang role. Kasi napakabagay nung boses niya dun sa puro mga katangahang sinasabi ni Knuckles eh.
And I feel like he's also having fun with the character kasi.
Gusto ko yung ano, we don't want to fight you. Actually, Sonic, I would like to fight him. Saka yung nangyari dito. Yung parang na unahan ni Shadow na parang he got a jump on these three. Kay Shadow, kay Knuckles, kay Tails, saka kay Sonic. Sabihin mo naman ni Knuckles, he is much better than the last hedgehog I faced. Dude, I'm standing right here. Yung gano'n, nakakatawa si Idris.
Para siyang si Drax, gano'n.
Yun, thank you for saving me. Yun yung pinaka-best na na analogy.
Yung napaka-unassuming and overly honest.
Oo. Tapos, ano pa ba? Yun yung mga nakakatawa sa kanya. It still retains what made it great. Kumbaga yung Sonic 1 and 2. Kung may masasabi lang ako na parang medyo weakness. Kasi walang weakness to scene na tayo. Talagang it's a fun ride all throughout.
And when we watched it, talagang maririnig mo yung ang daming bata natin kasama dun sa cinema.
Hindi nga lang bata nag-i-enjoy, pati yung mga matatanda. Lalo na pag lumalabas na yung mga references dun sa scene.
Yes.
Diyos ko, Maria Josep.
Sobrang talagang nakakarinig ka ng mahahagalpak sa tawa.
Yun. Ang masasabi ko lang dito sigurong I just wanted more of. Sige, I'm not gonna say that it's a detriment to the film. I know what Ben Schwartz is capable of.
Okay.
In terms of improv. Kung gusto nyong matignan kung gaano siya kagaling, search nyo yung last na interview niya dun sa kay Stephen Colbert. Yung talagang hindi na nga sila
unhinged.
Hindi na nga sila nag-interview eh. It's just 8 minutes of straight improv genius. Kasi improv din si Colbert eh. Yun. So, yung ganung alam mong kaya, and of course Parks and Rec. Parang
halos lahat ng
80%
lines niya doon. Wala sa script.
Yung purong I made my money the old-fashioned way. I got run over by a Lexus.
Gusto ko talaga yung pakanta niya na yung delivery.
Yung mga ganon. So parang I would have wanted siguro a bit more unleashed na Ben Schwartz. Pero kasi maiintindihan ko kung bakit hindi. Na he has to play within the sandbox to keep it PG.
At saka hindi rin. Meron kasi parang storyline na pinafollow na eh. Kasi this is a continuing story.
That's true.
So parang you can't really, parang unhinged eh. You have to parang corral him. Kasi kapag hinayaan mo siya, baka maderail na, tama.
Oo. Pero yun na nga, wala akong iba, maliban doon, wala akong masabi. Kasi, I mean, it's revealed in the trailers na there's twice the Jim Carrey. Fun here, gabi.
Alam mo, seriously talaga, akala ko ibang actor yun.
Yung si Gerald Robotnik.
Si Pop-Up.
Si Pop-Up. In the saggy flesh.
Pero grabe talaga, Jim Carrey, legend.
At saka, lumabas kasi to sa abroad nung Pasko pa. So, over the past few weeks, may mga spoilers na lumabas online na may nakita ako. So, sinasabi ko sa'yo nung dati na parang, pag ito nakita mo, magugustuhan mo talaga siya. And if you haven't seen it, sige, we'll keep it a secret.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't been spoiled by social media yet, good for you. Kasi if you see it, talagang ay, ang galing. Talaga.
I like that.
Ang galing yun. Diba? Alam mo yun, diba?
Yes. Pero baka may masabi pa ako at ma-spoil pa. So.
Actually, may nasabi na nga tayo kanina parang medyo spoiler. Yung parang, yun na lang, Son Goku and Vegeta. Yan. Nung yun nakita yung moment na yun, parang, wow, Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball S. Alam ko may Dragon Ball S, di ba?
True.
Pero ito, yung S na pala na ibig sabihin ng Sonic. Dragon Ball Sonic na pala.
Yeah.
Ay, nako. Anyway, anything to add?
Yeah, I think, na-cover naman na natin.
I guess, sige. Ako, bibigyan ko to ng rating ng A. As in, solid A. Ikaw?
Yes.
Agree? Okay. Sige, solid A din. Alright. Sige, that's it for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Let's now move on to the next thing we'll talk about in this episode. The 10th year anniversary re-release of Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. Okay, Interstellar. 2014 na epic movie by one of the gods of cinema.
2014 pala, so dapat 11th year na niya this year.
Well, kasi lumabas kasi siya last year.
So kasalanan na naman ng MMFF to.
Ayoko sabihin kasalanan ng MMFF kasi eto, sige. Still quoting Wikipedia, Interstellar was re-released in theaters on December 6th for its 10th anniversary. So, hindi kasalanan ng MMFF to. More so na, and I will expound on this mamaya, we'll just talk about the film for a bit kasi, I mean, this has been out for 10 years. We know our thoughts about this.
Yes.
Konting rehash na lang. Pero, I'm happy na this got released kasi nakita na merong clamor for movies coming out again. Kahit napalabas na. Pero I'll get to that mamaya konti. After you've seen it 10 years later, kumbaga, what did it still hold water for you, itong Interstellar? Did it get better? Did it parang
Holding
get
space.
worse? Ikaw, what do you think?
Well, kasi siguro mas sci-fi fan na ako ngayon. And I don't purport myself to be a scientist or an expert in quantum physics. Or, yun.
Okay.
Or theoretical physics. Pero, marami pa rin questions. Although I know what the movie is trying to say. I understand its heart, where it's coming from. Of course, Nolan will be Nolan. The visuals always breathtaking. And yung writing is, yung may expect mo na, talagang high quality.
Yes.
Pero yung mga plot holes niya, from the first time I watched it, mas marami akong questions ngayon. Well, more so about the ending na lang. Pero all their choices, the characters, and how they're written, kahit yung kay Matt Damon, maganda naman. It's very satisfying. The narrative is gripping, and marami na akong details na hindi na naaalala eh. So parang I watched it again for the first time.
True. Actually, I echo your sentiment. I think I'm the biggest Nolan fan I know.
Yeah.
Pero yun na nga nakakatuwang magkaroon ng mga ganitong repertory releases. So pag sinabing repertory, ibig sabihin niya, kasi pag sinabi mo repertory, it's a theater term eh. Kumbaga, na parang yung stock nilang mga play. So pag nagpapalabas yung theater company ng isang lumang play na hindi first run, that's repertory theater.
Okay.
Yan. I think doon nila kuha ng repertory theater. Yung pangalan nila. Yan, shout out. Shout out. Anyway,
okay.
Pero yun, so when we say it's repertory cinema, na yung nire-release ulit ng mga sinihan, yung mga lumang sine na. Okay? Tama ka na sa sinabi mo na parang sa sobrang tagal na nating last na panood to. And even if, yun nga, meron akong Blu-ray dyan. Collection. Na part siya. Na parang, I don't have the time. Na. Kasi we're very busy with a lot of other things. Na panoorin siya or upuan talaga. Pero yung opportunity to see a movie like this on the big screen, as it was meant to be enjoyed and digested, is gabing sobrang priceless nung pakiramdam.
True.
Talaga. Especially, sabi mo yung cinematography. Cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytma. The frequent Nolan collaborator na among his many other works with him is yung Dunkirk and yung Oppenheimer, which he won the Oscar for sa Oppenheimer. Diba? So, alam mong pag si Hoyt van Hoytma at saka
yung mga
Nolan,
frequent collaborators ni Nolan, Hans Zimmer, diba?
Sa akin nga, ngayon na pinakinggan natin ito, parang ito yung pinakamagandang Hans Zimmer na score. Para sa akin. I mean, Hans Zimmer has done a lot of iconic scores over the years. Pero parang ito yung pinaka talagang parang almost reaching 2001 A Space Odyssey levels ng talagang grandiosity.
That's high praise.
It is. Kung sabihin ko nga sa'yo, kasi pinanood natin yung Interstellar right before we recorded this episode.
Yeah.
And
kagagaling lang natin
sa sinihan. Oo. So, alam mo, gusto ko sabihin sa'yo, para siyang, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people have said this, na this is 2001 A Space Odyssey for the 21st century. And it feels so much like that.
Yeah.
In its cinematography and how parang how it uses its music cues. If I may, parang mas accessible pa nga siya sa 2001 A Space Odyssey kasi sobrang talagang obtuse nung sining yun.
Ang i-compare ko lang siguro na closest thing nito for the 21st century is yung Gravity. Parang it has the same parang claustrophobic feel nung space vacuum.
Yes.
Ganon.
Oh, well, funny you say that kasi if I remembered correctly, Gravity came out the year before.
So, yun nga, marami nga mga lumalabas na movies about space travel. Nung time na yun.
Oo. Pero, one thing that stuck out, quote-unquote, like a sore thumb, spoilers for an 11-year-old film, is yung explanation kung bakit may connection si Matthew McConaughey at saka si Jessica Chastain, si Murph, yung anak niya.
I always felt that being parang sobrang cheesy.
Yun, parang
and
hokey.
Masyadong sappy. Diba?
Pero yung paglabas natin ng sinihan kanina, sinasabi ko sa'yo na parang perfect time yung ngayong panahon natin for that message to be reintroduced to the world. Kasi parang yung sa sobrang disjointed, sobrang watak-watak na natin as a human race, as a species, na parang ang sarap pang hawakan ng fact na yung ini-espouse ng sine na love is the one thing that transcends dimensions.
Love makes the world go round?
Oo, kasi kumbaga, kung yun lang yung papakinggan mo na matitake away mo out of conversations about this movie na parang, sinabi kasi yung explanation kung bakit nakasabi siya dun sa anak niya is because of love. Well,
kaya na-solve nila yung equation of gravity.
Pero kasi, merong point dito na people, I think, may have forgotten over the years or yung mga hindi nakapanood, hindi nila alam. May sinabi yung character ni Anne Hathaway, si Dr. Brand, na she wants to still see this other astronaut that went before them. Kasi she feels affinity, love for that person. And it's that want to see that person again that makes her believe na she can succeed in this mission that they have.
So it's not so much as love, more so belief.
Pwede.
Faith, parang ganon.
Hindi sinabi ni Coupe, ni Matthew McConaughey na parang so it's a social construct. Hindi. Pero I guess for the purpose of the film, kasi eventually it becomes a tangible thing in the third act, na parang tinatry niyang gawing point na love is quantifiable. Kumbaga. I mean, of course, hindi siya scientifically proven. It's science fiction. Pero it wonders, what if? What if love is any emotion for that matter?
Emotion is parang there is an invisible tether or string that connects you to people through emotion.
Through time and space.
Parang it's also a dimension, kumbaga.
Yun. So, nakakatuwang isipin siya. Still cheesy if you dig deep enough. It's cheesy, pero parang siyang, it's well-meaning cheese. Hindi siya yung parang dati na, noong una lumabas na parang, na naman ito. Kinain na ito.
Oo nga.
Nag-midlife crisis
Valentine's movie ba to?
Oo, yung parang gano'n. Pero ngayon, para siyang, okay. Kasi now, and I guess, dahil tumanda na rin tayo, na we've had our share of life experiences since then. And I guess, mas nag-resonate yung ganong klaseng parang messaging niya. Yes, thank you for that. So, yeah, I guess still a perfect film. I consider it a perfect film in spite of the cheesiness. A+ pa rin sa akin after 11 years. Ikaw?
A lang siya sa akin
solid.
For me.
Okay lang. Okay naman yan.
May mga plot holes pa din siya sa dulo. Like, bakit tumakas si Coop? Dapat ililid niya na yung mga tao towards the new planet. Why did he went rogue? Parang, bakit? And then, sinabihan din naman siya ni Murph na parang, take us there to our new home.
Mo dito.
Oo.
Baka kasi hindi alam ng mga tao na hindi man under kay Murph kasi hindi man part ng government si Murph. Pero parang siguro yung NASA by that time, hindi pa rin alam na kung ano yung nangyari sa kanya. Alam lang nila kasi yung ginawa ni Murph. Hindi niya masabi na parang yung tatay ko yung nagdala dito sa akin dahil may ginaganon siyang Morse code sa relos niya. Hindi siya papaniwalaan.
Bakit hindi nag-communicate si Brand dun sa home planet? Yun nga yung mission niya.
Si Brand.
Si Anne Hathaway.
Dun sa...
Kaila Coop, kaila Murph, sa NASA.
Wala siyang gas. Yung last gas niya dun sa ship niya, bago siya na slingshot nung singularity nung Event Horizon. Sinabi nila kasi you only have one parang enough gas left to go to yung planet nung crush niya.
Pero, bakit hindi na lang niya, di ba, pagdating niya na dun sa planet na yon, dapat meron ng ability to communicate. Assuming na nandun pa rin yung wormhole.
Pero, relativity pa rin. So, it's possible that she's communicating, pero since she's so far out into interstellar space, it takes decades. Kasi nga, di ba, ang tagal bago dumating, lalo na nung pagkatapos nila sa water planet, ang tagal bago dumating nung messages nung matanda na yung mga anak ni Coop. Pero,
yun nga nandun ba yung wormhole? Hindi naman sinabi.
Yun sana may interstellar too.
Kasi paano ba kakabalik? Paano mapupuntahan ni Coop si Brand? Kung wala pa rin yung And paano siya natagpuan? 'Di ba? Parang nasaan yung do wormholes change positions or change coordinates? Tapos paano siya naibalik sa solar system nung singularity?
Yes. Nolan pa rin.
Kaya A lang siya sa akin. Parang na naman siya parang yung mga questions ko about Tenet. Did I touch a nerve?
I will not accept Tenet blasphemy here. I'm a Tenet truther.
Wow, anyway.
So yun. So, ako naman, masabi ko lang mabilis. This is a heartfelt thank you to SM Cinema. I hope this gets to you. Makita niyo to. Sobrang thank you na you included your cinemas. Basically, our country. Kasi sila yung pinakamadaming IMAX sa Pilipinas to be a part of this re-release. Kasi kanina nandoon tayo sa Mega Mall, the cinema was 70% full. And for a re-release, that's wow.
On a Wednesday night. Yeah.
I mean, naalala ko nung dati, and this is siguro probably the reason why you're apprehensive of re-releasing stuff. Kasi nung nanood naman tayo ng Jaws, a couple of years ago, parang 5 lang ata tayo sa sinihan noon.
Tsaka Superman, di ba?
Superman. Yung Superman naman, sa regular cinema naman yun, pero parang mga nasa 12 mga 10, 15 lang tayo dun sa sinihan.
Tsaka regular cinema lang yun.
Regular, tama.
Hindi IMAX.
Hindi IMAX. Pero yun na nga. So, I understand your apprehension. But I also want to thank you for being brave enough to release this. Kasi, yun na nga you will see that there is an audience for movies like this. Or even old movies. Lalo na kung makikita ng tao na anniversary siya.
Oo. Naalala ko naman nung nasa Singapore tayo, pinanood natin yung Seven Samurai.
Di ba? Ano yun? Parang 50th ba? Or 60?
Basta
or 70?
anniversary
Basta
din.
anniversary niya.
Oo.
Yun. Yun. So, yung nanood tayo ng Seven Samurai, yun din, sobrang puno. Yun.
What a thrilling experience to see it in a cinema.
Di ba? Kasi,
imposible natin mapanood kasi wala pa tayo nun sa mundo.
Yes. And the only way that we've been able to see Seven Samurai is yar, matey. Yung mga ganong sources. Mga source natin ganyan. Pero, bilang cinephile, magugustuhin mo din mo para sa sarili mo na mapanood siya ng sa sinihan. The way it was meant to be seen. And you mentioned Seven Samurai.
Yes.
Na meron nga tayo naging 20-minute intermission doon. Di ba yun nakakakiliti sa ganun na parang, oh my God, wow, talagang parang I'm watching this like how it came out in 1950 something. Yung ganon. Na parang let's bring back that kind of movie going. And SM, promise, you just keep on bringing the classics back, people will come out for it. Sayang lang last year hindi nagawa kasi last year was the 25th naman of The Matrix.
Hindi ba lumabas?
Hindi lumabas dito.
Sana lang sa ibang bansa lang.
Pinagko kayo SM nun, hindi naman kayo nag-respond. Sininyo lang. Sad. Pero anyway, bumawi naman kayo sa Interstellar, so we're good.
And meron pa kasi buzz din kay Nolan from Oppenheimer.
True. Naman, Diyos ko, Matrix pa lang. Doesn't the word The Matrix evoke? Parang
kasi after Matrix 4, parang ayoko na lang mag-talk.
Ay, maganda yung Matrix 4 Excuse me.
Ganon.
I liked it.
Naginaan ka doon?
Oh, well, with the help of our favorite YouTubers, Red Letter Media, nung hinimay nila yung Matrix Resurrections, merong point of view doon na na-unlock na parang, okay, makes sense. Okay, sige. Ayun, so that's it for Interstellar's 10th anniversary re-release. You can still catch it in SM Cinema IMAX theaters. Hindi ko alam kung parang limited lang ba to. Pero catch it while you can. Yun na lang. Okay, so let's go now to the last thing we will talk about in this episode, which is the second season.
Second
season of the Netflix smash hit. Ano yun ulit?
Squid Game 2.
Okay, so Squid Game 2. The second season to the again, the worldwide smash hit.
Ito na yung pinaka-biggest pandemic show, I would say.
Oo. Naalala ko nung lumabas to una 2021. Oo, tama, 2021. Yung around mga September, October, ganon. Ganon siya lumabas.
Parang papasko din yun.
Ito, September siya lumabas. Pero yung mga ganong season na parang sa sobrang smash hit niya, siya yung naging instant Halloween costume ng lahat ng tao nung taon na yun.
True.
Diba? Tsaka siya yung naging theme ng lahat ng Christmas party nung taon na yun. Pero Squid Game it transcends, yung mga show na nagtatranscend ng medium niya
True.
Especially that first season and that first episode. Oh my God.
Grabe yung first episode na yan.
Nag-post ako sa IMDb noon dati na it's a perfect pilot.
Yes.
Especially kung saan siya natapos din.
Grabe yung hook niya,
no? Yung needle drop niyang ganon. So, as expected, expectations are high for the second season. Lalo na 3 taon ang antay mahigit.
And it promised a sequel na kaagad. Doon pa lang sa first season, di ba yung last episode?
Cliffhanger.
Talagang, cliffhanger siya. So, the expectations were
through the roof.
Yes. Sobrang taas talaga. And ang tagal-tagal ko nagwa-wonder how will they top season 1? That perfect season
Lalo na't nakikita natin yung mga, tawag dito, yung mga promotional materials ng show.
Tsaka napaka-iconic kasi nung mga imagery niya eh.
Oo. And saying din na parang, may interviews na parang this, if you liked season 1, season 2 is much better. Parang puro sila mga hyperbole na ganun. Siyempre, magpo-promote sila ng show. Okay, fine. Pero, ikaw ba? How was Squid Game 2 for you?
It feels unfinished.
Yes.
Maybe because it is unfinished. It's part 1. I think it's supposed to just have 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Pero hinati nila tong season na to para magkaroon ng season 3. So parang para sa akin, hindi satisfying. Para na naman siyang The Bear. Season 3 ba?
Season 3.
Parang this feels like half of a season.
Why do they do that? Why? I mean, eto sa akin sabihin ko lang na may precedent siya. Sabihin natin yung
Breaking
Bad at saka yung Mad Men. Pero, kahit papano, yung season 5 para kay Breaking Bad and season 6 para kay Mad Men, na part 1 and part 2, they have contained stories within that season.
I don't know. I still don't like the,
I know.
Yung ganong style na hinahati pa yung season.
Oh, I don't as well. Pero sa akin, to the credit of yung those shows, and they are masterpieces. Yan. Yung mga part 1, part 2 nila, mas malinis yung putol. Kumbaga. Parang kumbaga nanonood ka ng yung putol ng ang Empire Strikes Back. At saka ng Return of the Jedi. Kumbaga parang siyang ganon. Na hindi siya parang kinuha mo yung Empire Strikes Back, pinahaba mo yung gitna, tapos bigla mong puputulin dun sa Luke, I am your father. Tapos yung dulo, yung no, ilalagay mo dun sa simula ng Return of the Jedi. Ganun yung putol nila ngayon eh.
Awkward,
Ang awkward eh.
Oo.
Oo, it gets you going na parang cliffhanger. Pero parang, bakit ganito yung kwento? Bakit ganun?
Oo. Hindi ko alam kung parang style ba siya to get you to watch the next season. Kasi gano'n naman kasi yung talagang nature ng TV eh. Parang it gives you cliffhangers so you will watch the next one. Pero ito kasi ang haba ng break. Pero ang sabi naman nila, hindi aabot ng 1 taon, di ba?
May leaks na June daw, no?
We're not sure, pero yun yung kumakalat. Yun yung rumor.
Rumor na June 2025. Alam ko parang meron na pinost na tweet si Netflix na parang dinelete nila agad.
Sa kanila din galing.
So may na-excite bigla masyado.
Okay. Pero, ayun nga, parang it feels so abrupt kung paano siya natapos. And sobrang unsatisfying. Wala man lang parang, ewan ko, siguro parang hindi ko alam kung dahil naghahanap ba ako ng instant gratification.
Hindi. You just want a good story. Yun, it's not instant gratification. You just want a good story.
I mean, mas satisfying pa nga yung ending ng Wicked 1 eh.
Yun. Sige, let's bring that to the conversation. Saan ginawa ng Wicked 1 na tama yung putol niya na hindi nagawa ni Squid Game 2 ng maayos?
Yun, kasi parang flipping of the, na siya eh, of the board, kumbaga. Elphaba has turned parang 180.
Yes.
Lahat, even Glinda. So parang mararamdaman mo yung change of pace pagdating dun sa 2. Kasi biglang nag-shift lahat. So parang dito, although yes, there was a shift, pero parang napakataas kasi nung emotion eh. Pero, I don't know, ganun din naman kasi yung sa Wicked. Kasi yung Defying Gravity yung parang exclamation point niya. Pero yung sa Squid Game, I think parang kasing hindi masyadong nag-focus kay Gi-hun eh. Parang ang dami kasing mga storylines na ang dami nating characters na fina-follow, ang daming lead this time as compared to last season na talagang si Gi-hun lang talaga and si Junho. Sila yung dalawang fina-follow natin.
Si Junho, si Sang-woo?
Si Junho.
Siya ba yun?
Si Inho yung kapatid niya. Si frontman.
Si
Junho yung police.
Yung police, sorry.
Oo.
Yes,
So,
I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Si Gi-hun lang at saka si Junho lang yung protagonist na fina-follow natin that we're really invested on. Ito kasi, ang dami nila. So parang, ang dami masyado nating fina-follow. So parang lahat sila dapat merong cliffhanger. Lahat sila dapat merong shift na mararamdaman. Pero dahil nga sobrang dami nila, it feels parang hindi ganun ka-impactful. Maybe. So, yun yung parang naano ko, parang, ewan ko, parang hindi siya masyadong, anticlimactic siya for me.
Yan. That's the best term to use. It's an it ends in an anticlimactic, it ends in an anticlimactic way.
Kahit na ang taas nung emotion, ang taas nung action, ang taas nung sobrang ganda nung and sobrang grand nung set piece. Pero it still feels anticlimactic in a way.
I think the reason why, and spoilers na, minor spoilers, kasi it's been out since Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So parang, what have you been doing if you haven't watched it kung may Netflix ka? Why are you watching this kung hindi mo pa napapanood yung part na to namin? Iniisip ko kasi parang yung sa Wicked, yung siyang, it's an exclamation point. Ang ganda na sinabi mo kanina. Ito kasing ending nitong season 2, it doesn't leave us hanging on a fact na hindi pa natin alam. Kasi matatapos to dito na, kinuha na ulit ni frontman yung mask. So, he just continued being the bad guy. Mas maganda sana kung ang ending nitong season 2, nalaman na ni Gi-hun na si Inho, yung frontman. Doon talagang mas okay, shit. Anong mangyayari? Na parang they spent this entire season with a bromance.
Tama.
Diba?
Yon, wala yung shift kay Gi-hun Na-depress lang siya. He just lost so much. Napaka-downer nung
ending. Kumbaga, yung sa Wicked kasi, sobrang niyang triumphant na talagang fist pump. Yeah! May, yun siya, napaka-triumphant niyang ending. Or even if gagawa, we'll use the classic cliffhangers to end all cliffhangers. Empire Strikes Back. It left us on a cliffhanger na, oh shit, tatay ni Luke si Darth Vader. And then, we see what's left of the Rebel Alliance in tatters. So, mas shit, gusto mo makita yung sunod. Makita yung sunod. Ito kasi parang, this season builds up to a conclusion of stuff that we basically already know. We know that Inho is the frontman. That was revealed. Kaya maganda yung ending nung season 1. Kasi nung bigla na-reveal na si Byung-hun Lee, yung frontman,
yung hinahanap pala ni
Junho, parang fuck. Parang, wow, okay, let's go. Then let's go season 2. Ito kasi parang we know that he's the frontman. Where is the change in the status quo?
Yan.
Parang
kumbaga kung ang Empire Strikes Back end lang nung finreeze na si Han Solo.
At kasi the whole movie builds up to that Na parang they're being caught. They're trying to be caught by the Empire.
Pero yun na yung expected mo
True.
Kumbaga parang ine-expect na din natin na mag-fail yung parang
rescue mission ni Luke.
Hindi, yung sa Squid Game. Mag-fail yung kanilang coup.
Yes.
So, alam na natin yun, it's expected. Pero, walang revelation kay Gi-hun para magbago lahat ng pananaw niya to shake his world, kumbaga.
And to shake the audience as well. Kumbaga. Kasi, kaya effective yung ending ng Squid Game 1. Kasi, yun nga, alam natin na parang, oh my God, kilala pala ni Junho yung frontman. Aside from the meta fact na it's Byung-hun Lee. My God, this is megastar, is the villain of the show. Tapos, yung he was going to go to LA to be with his daughter. And then he changes his mind. I'm going to stop the games. Yung ganun parang kung change the status quo. This didn't change the status quo.
Ganun pa din
Pero,
yun siguro yung anticlimactic niya doon.
True. Pero we're not gonna say na it's a bad season by any metric. No. It's still fun. Actually,
better games.
Mas maganda yung mga games dito.
Mas exciting.
No?
Although maganda din talaga yung mga games nung una
mas gusto ko yung cast of characters dito ngayon, actually.
Pero yun nga lang yung downside nun.
Dami.
Ang dami
Yun
mong
lang.
storylines.
Ang dami mong plotlines.
Oo,
na
dami,
sinusundan.
may plotline A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Oo.
up to J.
Actually, I mean, quite literally, yes. Hanggang J. Kasi meron pa tayong perspective nung isang soldier. Di ba?
Si Trans, si Soldier, si Best Friend, yung magnanay.
Si tatay nung anak ng cancer. Si Crypto Bro.
Si Thanos.
R.I.P. Thanos.
Skirt. Yeah.
Pero yun, I mean, if the status quo was changed, dun sa ending nitong season na to, it would have been another perfect season. Even if they left us in a cliffhanger. Kaya din siguro sinabi mo na hindi satisfying yung ending ng The Bear Season 3.
Yes.
Kasi wala nagbago. Alam na nating magfe-fail yung The Bear.
And
it was headed there. So parang what changed? What nothing of our expectations were subverted. Kumbaga.
Pero ganun na ba talaga yung way to satisfy audiences is just to subvert them? Kasi hindi naman siya nag-work sa Game of Thrones nung sinubvert tayo ng D&D. So I don't think it's really the subversion. It's really just the change in tune, kumbaga.
Hindi naman subversion.
Because Daenerys kind of forgot.
Ay, magandang magandang idea yun na. Sabihin nyo sa amin sa comments if you want to watch us, if you want to subject us to torture na pag-usapan yung last season ng Game of Thrones.
No, please, no.
Gawin natin yan. Gawin natin yan. Kung gagawa tayong Patreon.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
Sige, sabihin nyo kung gusto nyo magkaroon ng parang kaming Patreon na pag-uusapan natin
Blind watch?
Blind watch. Alam na natin yun. We know what we're gonna get into.
But I wish I were blind.
I wish I was blind watch. Uy, wag na makakalina. Yes, high five yan. Yan, so kung gusto nyo kaming bayaran para manood nung trash season ng ending ng Game of Thrones, just let us know in the comments below.
Oh my God. Oh.
I mean, sure. Skirt.
Okay, fine.
Ay,
do I subject myself to that again? Grabe, anong galit ko sa buhay ko.
For the Cinegeeks. Diba?
Anyways.
Patreon. Sabihin nyo kung gusto nyo mag-Patreon na namin yan for our Cinegeeks. Sige.
Okay.
For Squid Game, sige. Tapos natin tong Squid Game Season 2.
Ang grade ko?
Grade mo?
Incomplete. Oo. I can't really grade it kasi ang ganda niya, but I feel ang dami pang kulang.
True.
Hindi siya kompleto. So, I'll give my grade kapag kompleto na yung Pero so far, kung hindi siya makukompleto, wala, incomplete talaga eh. Grade ko.
I mean, sa akin, pwede ko naman siyang mabigyan ng, i-factor in ko yung pagiging incomplete niya dun sa grade ko. Kasi, it was gonna end on a cliffhanger no matter what happened.
Okay.
Ang pinaka-biggest bone to pick ko lang sa kanya is how the cliffhanger was executed. Kumbaga. No pun intended.
Okay.
Kaya, kung maganda sana, kung talagang nag-shift yung status quo nung palabas dahil dun sa ending, another A+. Kaso nga lang, hindi. So, for now, I'm gonna give it a B+. Yan. Okay. I think that's fair.
I stand by the incomplete.
Okay lang naman. Sige, incomplete. Okay, so, we went through, ilan to? 5? Nating, naipunan tayo. So, siguro naman sa mga future episodes natin, hindi tayo ganito kahaba.
Yes.
Kasi, we're gonna try to talk about the stuff we see as we see them immediately. Kumbaga. Pero, since we're on camera for the first time in forever, baka makapitay tayo.
Okay.
We asked our fellow Cinegeeks to give us some questions na we can answer for them. Diba? Kasi we want you guys to get to know us the same way we want to get to know you. And yung mga hilig yung mga sine and stuff like that. Okay, so let's start with the very first question. Okay? By the way, isa-shoutout natin yung mga tao nagtanong sa atin dito. Okay, so shoutout to Tabby. Okay, and her first question is, if you could revive one canceled show and give it a proper ending, which one would it be and why? Sige, ikaw ang sumagot niya.
Shucks, ang dami.
Which one nga?
Wait lang. Pressure. Wait lang. What's at the top of my head? Ang dami kasi. Parang, shucks. Kapag kasi kinakancel yung mga show, tapos sobrang ganda niya, tapos sobrang lungkot ko na na-cancel na siya, parang kinakalimutan ko na lang siya. Ganon. Wait lang, wala akong maisip.
Nagsasearch na ako dito ng pwede kong ma-idea ko. Kasi tama kayo, ang dami din eh.
Oo. Siguro, proper ending, Umbrella Academy.
Ha? Talaga?
Oo, kasi nag-end siya ng parang, na lang cop out.
Okay.
Yung final season niya was pero ang iniisip ko kasi, yung parang abruptly kinancel na lang kahit dapat may pa.
Yung talagang, yun sabihin yung mga tipong 1 or 2 seasons lang, tapos in the middle of a story, and then, hindi na naman yung ending, kumbaga. Parang ganun.
Yung How I Met Your Father.
Ay, oo.
Sayang yun.
Nakakainis yun.
Oo.
Ang ganda na sana eh.
Actually, ano pa ba?
Alam mo kung tutuusin, pwede ko sabing sagot ko na din yun. Kasi I hate How I Met Your Mother. Not just because of the ending. It's so lame. Na parang, si How I Met Robin pala yung ending talaga.
Marami din galit dun.
Napaka-stupid nun. Pero parang now looking back, and siguro sabihin natin na it was a product of its time. Pero para siyang
How I Met Your Stepmother.
Ano siya eh, tawag dito, it's everything bad about the bro culture. Sobrang niyang toxic panoorin ngayon.
Ang dami nga. Parang marami din naman ganung comments about Friends.
Hindi, pero kasi, I mean,
it's a product of its time.
Kumpara mo naman sa Friends, yung How I Met Your Mother. Sobrang blatant nung sexism and nung objectification ng babae doon. Lalo na doon kay Barney. Nasabihin nila, sige, sinave nila doon sa dulo na parang naging monogamo siya, fine. Pero parang, for what, 5 seasons? Parang siyang yung may bro code pa nga, di ba? Na parang, nung panahon nung time natin, parang yeah, Barney Stinson's the best ever. Parang ngayon, parang not really.
True.
Icky na siya panoorin.
Tsaka yung relationship ni Marshall and Lily was so codependent.
Oo. Parang hindi nila kayang tumayo sa...
Tsaka si Ted na lang. Parang, there's something wrong with him, not the girls not he dated. Not the women.
Napaka-toxic loser ni Ted.
Sobrang niyang non-committal. Tapos, alam mo yun, wishy-washy. Parang,
and to think,
anyway.
in-idol ko yun dati. Oh my God.
Lodi mo ba siya noon?
Kaya nga parang siya nakakano eh. Now, this brings us to How I Met Your Father. It knows that it's just a comedy. It's not trying to be profound. Yun yung biggest mistake ni How I Met Your Mother eh. Gusto niya maging profound eh. Masyado.
True. Parang masyado naman siyang politically correct.
Hindi nga eh.
Si How I Met Your Father?
Father, oo. Parang mas comedy lang talaga siya.
Hindi, meron pa rin siyang social statement, ganyan. Oo, kasi parang may pagka-SJW siya. Very, very woke.
True. Pero ito kasing si How I Met Your Mother, parang it's trying to be profound and using tools na parang icky. Diba? Yung ganun. Kaya parang sayang yung How I Met Your Father. Okay yun. Ako sa akin, gusto ko sanang magkaroon ng proper ending kung may cancel. Sana yung Heroes.
Ay, oo nga. Ayun. Yun yung ko.
Pour one down for Heroes. Talagang,
pour one down?
Wag dito. Masilayan natin. Yun. Gusto ko sana na mabigyan siya ng tamang ending. Kasi yung tamang ending, kasi tinry na nilang i-reboot. Feeling ko i-reboot nila naman nila ulit. Pero para siyang wala na sila magagawang tama doon. Kasi hindi na naintindihan ng mga sumunod na gumawa for the show kung ano yung kinaganda ng first season eh.
Tsaka its time has passed.
Yun na din.
Parang it's too late.
True.
It's too late to apologize.
Oh, well. Yun. Anyway, sige. We just have, I guess, time for one more question.
Pero I wanna know kung anong mga shows din na...
Yun, sagutin yun. Sige.
Please answer that question too.
Anong mga shows na na-cancel ang gusto nyo sana magkaroon ng proper ending?
Baka nakalimutan ko lang din eh. Baka pag kinoment nyo, maalala ko na, shit, oo nga, yun din.
Anyway, this last question for this episode is from a friend of the podcast, Andrew, aka Smash That Screen.
Okay.
Follow him on socials. Sa tanong niya is, what is a film that was a turning point when you felt or envisioned becoming a cinephile? Sige, ikaw.
That's an easy answer for me.
Go.
Parasite.
Oh, okay. Talaga.
Doon ko din naisip magkaroon ng podcast.
Actually, oo nga.
That movie, just parang, alam mo yung para akong na-symbol, ganun. Sobrang shock to the core.
Para kang napompyang.
Oo, para akong napompyang, nabembang, ganun. Talagang stunned ako. First time in my life after watching a movie na I couldn't move after the ending. Na nagro-roll na yung credits, stunned pa din ako.
Yes.
Napaka-powerful nung movie na yon. And it made me question everything. Hindi ko alam kung anong mararamdaman ko. Sobrang mixed emotions talaga. And sobrang grabe yung pag-re-examine ko sa buhay ko after watching it. And society in general. So talagang ganun ka-powerful ang movies, yung impact sa buhay ng tao, sa way of thinking, way of life ng anyone who watches it. So parang para sa akin, yes, this is why I love movies. True. Ikaw.
Medyo kukuha ko na mas further back. Okay.
Panahon mo.
Grabe, hindi naman. Pero siya, it's the movie talaga that really started me on this journey of wanting to be a deeper film fan. It's a cliche answer na, I'll admit that, pero sa akin talagang special siya. Yung Blade Runner, Ridley Scott. Doon ko unang nakita na parang, oh shucks, hindi kailangan lahat ng sine. Sobrang parang blockbuster-ish ang dating, ang end, ang labas, yung parang feel niya. Although Blade Runner is siguro sabihin a precursor to how special effects are made in modern blockbusters, and also yung sequel niya eventually. Pero yung, kumbaga, yung vision nung writing team and of course nung director, si Ridley Scott, na talagang sobrang napaka-singular. Alam mo kung ano yung gusto niya makita eh. And nung time na yon, people panned it. Kasi, I mean, siguro hindi na gets or what. Pero, grabing nag-reach across yung gusto niyang mangyari. And for reference, I am referring to yung final cut. Kasi nung time na yon, ang dami niyang mga iba-ibang mga cut eh. So, parang yung unang lumabas in theaters in the 80s, may happy ending tapos merong voice-over. Kasi parang hindi daw magigets ng mga audiences noon kung ano yung pagiging cerebral ng kwento.
Okay.
Pero yung final cut, talagang, ayoko sabihin hindi siya happy ending. Kasi it's a matter of perspective kung paano mo siya papanoorin. Pero mas more siya na it makes you talagang use your brain while watching. It's not spoon-feeding. Yon, siguro I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Na parang this was the first film that made me realize that movies aren't supposed to be spoon-fed.
Oh.
Na para siyang you use your brain din. You think. Na parang hindi mindless medium of entertainment ang sine. It opened my eyes to what movies can be. And yun, still one of my favorites hanggang ngayon. Talaga. Yan. So,
we have more questions actually.
We promise we will get to them on our next episode talaga. So, yung mga nakatahinga doon, unahin natin yun next time.
Yes.
Siguro we'll give them more time kasi we just posted yung ating call to action for questions a few hours bago tayo mag-record. So,
tsaka naipon din yung mga movies eh.
Oo, ang dami din kasi.
Oo.
True. Kaya, promise next time, hindi na ganito kahaba. Next week.
Yeah, on our next episode.
Hindi na ganito kahaba yung next episode. So, I guess that's it for this episode of the Cinegeeks Podcast. We want to thank the various studios that invited us to watch the films that we reviewed. So, si Mufasa, si Sonic, and si Wolfman. Okay, a huge thank you to their respective distributors. But as always, itong review namin, our opinions weren't filtered through them. Hindi siya binigyan ng parang nila ng approval. They're hearing our opinions for the first time. Same as you are. Yes. So, for my lovely co-host Angela, this has been Roy. Thank you very much for watching.
Watching!
Thank you very much for watching the Cinegeeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.